The heavens are passing away, not someday but now. Everything you once trusted in is fading. The structures you called order, the meaning you carefully built, your image of life, even your image of God. And what remains then? Perhaps a world where the dead do not live and the living do not die. A world in which you consume what is dead and it becomes alive in you. But what, then, is truly alive in you? And whose life are you living? Jesus said, "The heavens will pass away, and the one above them will pass away. The dead are not alive, and the living will not die. In the days when you consumed what is dead, you made it come alive in yourselves. When you dwell in the light, what will you do? On the day when you were one, you became divided. But when you are divided, what will you do?" A saying like a veil, half lifted, half hidden. A riddle that offers no answer, only a call. And maybe you feel it. Not as a thought, but as a quiet unease. Something is missing. Something in you is silent, but not at peace. Like a tear within, covered by the routines of life. The mystic Simone Weil once said, "It is possible to die without the body ever ceasing to live." In this video on Saying 11 from the Gospel of Thomas, we step into the riddle of life and death, into the hidden meaning of light, separation, and transformation, and into one quiet, serious question. What will you do when you truly see the light? It begins with a falling apart, silent, invisible, and yet final. The things you once believed in begin to fade, not because they were wrong, but because they cannot stay. The structures you once called the world, your ideas of meaning, of God, of goodness, they are all part of a heaven that is passing away. And even the heaven above it, that which seemed higher, holier, that too will pass. Jesus does not say, maybe. He says they will pass away, because what you see is not what truly is. The philosopher Heraclitus once taught, everything flows. Nothing remains except that which cannot be grasped. Perhaps your transformation does not begin with finding something new, but with realizing what you must let go. The heaven you cling to cannot save you, because it was only an image. And when all things fade, what remains? It's a line quieter than it sounds, and yet it shakes you, not because of the dead, but because of the living. What is death? A grave, a final breath? Or does death begin much earlier, when you still function, but something inside has gone silent? Jesus says, "The dead do not live, not they have died, but they do not live." Maybe he means those who have forgotten their soul. They walk, speak, work, but they no longer feel, no longer wonder, no longer seek. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard once wrote, "Despair is the sickness unto death, a sickness in which one dies without being able to die." Many have already left inside long before their body stops breathing. And you, do you live, or are you just managing the days? Perhaps your awakening doesn't begin with a revelation, but with a quiet shock that you are still here, but not truly alive. What if you are alive in a way that death cannot touch, not in body, but deeper? A life that doesn't fade, because it never came from this world. The saying doesn't speak of immortality in the outer sense. It speaks of those who live in the light, those who have returned to what was never born, and therefore cannot die. An inner life, not built, not learned, but discovered beneath the layers of the self. The mystic Meister Eckhart once said, "There is a place in the soul where nothing ever died." Whoever lives in the light no longer carries death as fear, but as depth, as a boundary that is no longer a threat, but a doorway. Your body will pass, but what lives in you remains untouched because it never began. You consume, but it does not fulfill you. You listen, but you don't find peace. You gather, but none of it remains. So what truly nourishes you? Jesus speaks of days when you ate what was dead and made it come alive inside you, but not in a good way, not as healing, but as haunting. Thoughts that paralyze you, images telling you who you should be, words you should have forgotten long ago. And still you take them in, day after day, as if they were your life. The French philosopher Simone Weil once wrote, "We hunger for what destroys us, and we turn away from what could nourish us. Because in the silence you might feel it, that what you take in does not truly feed you, it just fills you. Dead thoughts, dead patterns, dead habits, and you call it life, but something deep within knows this is not what you were made for." Insight is not the end, it is the beginning. Many seek the light, clarity, spiritual understanding, but once the light appears, what comes next? Jesus does not ask, "What will you believe?" He asks, "What will you do?" Because light that you merely admire stays outside. It doesn't change you. True light demands a response. It doesn't force, but it calls, not toward thoughts, but toward life. The early Christian thinker Augustine once said, "Do not go outward, return into yourself. Truth dwells in the inner person. The light is within you, but what will you do with it? Many see, but do not act. Many understand, but change nothing." To recognize is not yet to transform. The question remains, if you truly see, what will you do? It sounds like a contradiction. How can you become one and yet be separated? Maybe it's not a contradiction at all, but the riddle of your birth. Not your physical birth, but your inner one. Because the moment you become an I, separation begins. You see yourself, but only as something apart from the world, apart from others, apart from God. And so you begin to defend yourself. You shape an image of who you are and cling to it. A separation is born not in the body, but in the soul. The mystic Meister Eckhart once said, "The eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me." But in the moment you perceive yourself as separate, you lose that eye. You become one as a self, and you lose oneness with all. And yet, maybe that is where return begins. Because the one who is no longer whole may begin to remember. Now it's up to you. You are divided. You can feel it in your loneliness, your restlessness, your endless search. Jesus is not asking a theological question. He speaks to you directly. Now, what will you do? Run away, distract yourself, pretend everything is fine? Or will you be still? Will you listen? Will you return? Separation is not your flaw. It's the beginning of longing, and every longing is a call to come home. The mystic Rumi once wrote, "What you seek is seeking you." Perhaps you're not truly separated. You only feel that way, because you've forgotten where you come from and who you are. And that is where return begins, not in the heavens, not in a book, but in you. The question remains, now that you know, what will you do? It was never about understanding the saying. It was always about recognizing yourself within it. The heavens are passing away, the images, the answers, even what you thought was sacred will fade. And what remains is you, your longing, your separation, your light. Jesus offers no solution. He leaves you with a question. If you are in the light, what will you do? Maybe everything begins when you stop waiting and start moving, not outward, but inward, homeward. Because what you're searching for was never truly gone. It was only waiting for you.